Today, we're going behind the screens with Christine Yang, VP of Planning at Digilant.
Hi, I'm Christine Yang, VP of Planning at Digilant. My role touches just about every corner of our business, from media strategy and planning to activation of campaigns to our own internal operations and process innovation. No 2 days look the same, which is exactly what I love about it. I'm constantly collaborating across departments, solving problems with clients, and helping our team adapt to an industry that is always shifting. I started my career in activation, and that hands-on keys experience gave me a strong foundation for how campaigns actually work and run. And it still shapes how I plan today. I like to think of my job as more than just planning. It's about connecting the dots across the full campaign lifecycle so we can make smarter, more grounded decisions at every step of the way. So whether I'm building an approach to a local market strategy or restructuring a client's campaign, I always come back to one question: how do we create real impact? Today, I'm excited to take you behind the screen to dive further into how I connect the dots from strategy to execution, solve tough planning challenges, and help clients make smarter moves with every campaign.
You are the VP of Planning here at Digilant, but titles don't always tell the full story. How would you describe the scope of your role?
My role is a bit of a moving target, but in the best way. Every day looks a little bit different because I work in tandem with so many functions, from research, strategy planning, ad ops, activation, analytics, engineering, partnerships, like everybody. And from day to day, it's a mix of client-facing work and internal projects from systems and process building. So some days I'm in the weeds digging into campaigns with the activation team. Other days I'm working with the analytics team on advanced reporting because we're always evolving our analytics offerings. The through line, though, is that no matter what's going on any given day or what area I'm working in, it's all about solving problems and linking them together in like a long connective chain, kind of like a daisy chain, but it's not made of daisies, it's stronger, but it's also flexible so that we're able to stand on it as a foundation and we can build on top of it.
For those that might not be familiar, what does planning look like at Digilant?
Planning is where everything starts. So it's not just about cherry picking channels and tactics. Those come, a little bit later. We start with business goals. What is the client trying to solve? How do they define success? And I guarantee it won't be vanity media metrics. So that's what guides the strategy. Then we work backwards to figure out the right mix of audiences, channels, tactics, placements, and then of course the measurement strategy that will tie all of those pieces together. Here, because planning is end-to-end, we stay involved well beyond just the upfront strategy and plan. We're there through trafficking, through the campaign execution for the life of the campaign, as well as any iterative performance analysis along the way. And all of that intel goes back into the next round of planning. So having that continuity means we are always learning and improving, and this is a living, breathing process that keeps evolving based on what's working.
You started your career in activation. How does that background influence the way you plan today?
It's critical to how I plan today. Because I've run campaigns myself, I know what happens when the plan sounds good on paper, but doesn't actually translate to reality. So that experience keeps me grounded. When I plan, it's always with a feasibility lens and how a decision in planning will impact and play out in execution down the line. I feel a responsibility to the activation team. I want them to trust that what I plan and hand off to them is not only well thought out, but it's also practical and operationally sound. So it's not just about a good idea, it has to be something that we can build that actually works.
When you're building a new campaign strategy, where do you usually start? How do you adjust as things evolve?
I always start by first understanding what the client is trying to achieve, like what's their core business goal and what pain point are we trying to solve for them. So those, things become our North Star. From there, then I work backwards to figure out what success looks like from a media angle and how media can help us get there. I'll say what's interesting is that we don't start with channels, we start with outcomes. And then based on who will be performing those outcomes, that takes us quickly into audience research and modeling and identifying target audiences. So that shift in planning gives us room to be flexible when it comes to channels and everything downstream from there. Because if something isn't working, we don't throw out the whole media plan because it's full of channels. We just look at where we are and then explore what small incremental changes we can make that continue to move us forward towards the larger goal. And that kind of agility and the ability to respond is key, especially in a space where things change quickly.
Can you share an example of a campaign where you rethought your approach or framework and what came out of that shift?
Recently, we completed a hyperlocal market strategy for a client that has a national footprint. They have over 1,000 stores and over 100 DMAs. Instead of treating each store or DMA as an individual area, we created a multi-tier system of classification, and that system was built to account for store locations, the concentration of store locations, and cross that with population density and uncaptured market share potential. This system gave us a tighter, more nuanced way to segment and activate media to support their entire footprint. So a store in a rural area, for example, shouldn't be addressed the same way as one in a city center just because they're in the same DMA. So this change opened the door for us to be able to address the market from multiple angles at scale, not just DMA. And this wasn't just a change on the front end. This was carried through to campaign setup and activation, and it's an active part of how we execute. So these angles are distinctly visible in reporting and performance.
You've said that one of the most valuable parts of your role is seeing a campaign through from planning to performance. How does that full picture view shape your approach?
It makes a huge difference because I'm not just building a strategy and handing it off. I stay involved from the very beginning all the way through to execution and into post-campaign analysis. So that end-to-end ownership creates a much tighter feedback loop. What we see is actually working in the field. We can apply those learnings immediately, not 6 months later. It also helps to build trust with clients because they know the planning team isn't just bouncing once the media goes live. We're in it with them all the way through, making sure that what we planned actually performs, and that continuity is one of the most underrated parts of smart planning, and it's how we build better strategies over time.
What do you enjoy most about working on the Digilant team?
Honestly, the people. This is one of the smartest, most collaborative groups I've ever worked with, and that ethos clearly flows down from the top. We interrogate ideas and solutions, not each other, so egos are left at the door, and that way we can operate in a highly collaborative and creative space that focuses on ideas and solving problems. I also really value that I have a voice beyond clients and campaigns too. I'm involved in internal methodology, process design, partnerships, and solutions, all of it. So there's room to zoom out and ask, is there a better way to do this? And there's also room to zoom in and ask, how can we iterate on this particular thing? And we actually have the space and support to bring it to life. So it's not just talk, we follow through.
What's something you're especially excited about right now in the work that you're doing?
I'm super excited by the shift I'm seeing in clients. They're becoming more flexible and open to ideas and managing change because the planning cycle has become so much shorter. We need to be able to respond to market factors, policy changes, weather events even. We can't build blue sky strategies that later blow up because they weren't designed to absorb market factors. And that's exactly how I like to work. In my mind, it's stay ready so that you don't ever have to get ready. So rely on your North Star for direction, know that you can sidestep when you need to, or even backtrack if it makes sense to. But regardless, you can have confidence in every step because you're continually making forward progress.
Enjoyed getting to know Christine? Head to Digilant.com to see more of her work and how our team is innovating and making an impact across clients and campaigns.